Disclaimer: this is an entirely subjective video made first and foremostly for entertainment. The ratings in this video are in no way a reflection of a certain item's absolute gameplay viability. Good morning and welcome to the Battlefield 5 video where I, your host, Professor Mem, will be rating all of the sidearms in the game. I will be judging these weapons based on how they stack up against their slot's competition in categories of aesthetic/style, gameplay, and even a bit of personal bias. So let us start at the top of this list and work our way down. P38 Pistol. The P38 is a well-balanced 4-shot kill. It is a decent pick, if a little predictable, being the default starting pistol. As far as visuals go, it is a unique sidearm compared to some of the other visual designs on the list, but its safe statistics, and the fact that it's the first gun the game gives me, holds it back from being anything above a 6 out of 10. P08 Pistol. This is the P38's older brother, sharing with it the Lord's caliber 9mm. No, not you. We'll get to you in a moment. Statistically, the P08 is technically inferior to the P38, having more recoil, but damn it, this gun just looks better. I mean, look at the checkered grip and the thin little barrel and the weird knob that pops up and out every time, and the increased recoil makes each shot feel punchier and more real. Doesn't matter that it does the same damage, you can't argue with results like this. Yes, this clip does influence my bias. 7 out of 10. Repetierpistole M1912. This pistol has a rate of fire of 450, the highest in the game, and while this isn't unique to the M1912, it does have the highest damage of all pistols with this rate of fire. This gun, however, suffers in its other stats, being noticeably harder to control than most of its contenders. I do have to give props to the unique design gimmick of this Austrian beauty, and the sound of firing it is anything but generic. However, I can assume that anyone who has used this gun knows about its long, non-empty reload. Now, to give a quick design lesson that I swear is important to the topic at hand. Many of the primary weapons in Battlefield 5 have segmented reloads. Having a segmented reload means that in certain increments in your reload, it saves where you are, so that in the event that your reload is for whatever reason interrupted, you can resume right where you left off, rather than being forced to again go through the motions of actions you have already visually taken. For whatever reason, this reload on the Repetierpistole M1912 is non-segmented, meaning that if you take any action in-game that interrupts the reload, you will have to start all over again. And at 4 shots to kill, it's not really feasible to rely on waiting to run the gun dry to get that faster reload every time. This one gets a 5 out of 10. M1911. The 1911 is the well-balanced middle ground pistol between the fast-firing squirt guns and the slow and steady pocket cannons, presenting a 3-shot kill at close ranges for a lower rate of fire. What else can be said? This thing is classic. It is a classic. Easily recognizable as a symbol of America and fat bullets the world over. Maybe it's too classic. 6 out of 10. Now I know what you're thinking, which is why I took the liberty of kidnapping you and tying you up before you could do the same to me. I knew what I was getting into when I called John Browning's most enduring achievement mid at best, which is why I want you to understand where I'm coming from here. Yeah, the gun is a sleek and sexy design that holds up even today, but Battlefield 5 is a World War II shooter, and the Colt 1911 is synonymous with the genre. So many players use it, and for good reason too. But if Battlefield 5 had only one sidearm in the whole game, it'd be this one. It's expected, typical even, and it's all the 1911's fault for being so damn popular. Hopefully we have an understanding. Now try to enjoy the rest of the video. The M1911 Suppressed is just the M1911 with a gun muffler attached to it. Its stats are all the same, save for the direct upgrade in the fact that you've now become a ninja. You see, when you shoot an enemy with a suppressed weapon in Battlefield 5, there's no directional damage indicator on the enemy's HUD when they get hit by it, severely hindering their ability to react to the threat. This is excellent for flanks, as someone's first instinct when they take damage is often to backpedal. Some less experienced players or ones suffering from tunnel vision will not even notice they're getting shot until it's already too late. And the way the M1911 Suppressed sounds, it feels like you're shooting staples out of it. I use this thing all the time. 8 out of 10. Ruby. Okay, so to start off with an oddity about the Ruby. Its fire rate is 449. That's weird. I don't see why it couldn't just be 450 like the rest of the scored guns. I actively dislike using the Ruby. It's such a pain to get kills with this thing despite its magazine capacity of 9+1, the highest on this list. It honestly won't do you any good when you're shooting like this. It has the lowest damage of any of the sidearms, and while it's not alone in this distinction, the alternatives are more or less direct upgrades. Lastly, this gun is a copycat of Browning's 1903 and was used by the French. 3 out of 10. What did I say there? That doesn't have anything to do with my ranking, I swear. Mark 6 Revolver. The Mark 6 probably has the best time to kill of any of the sidearms. In fact, let me test that real quick. Owing to its ability to kill in 2 shots and high rate of fire for a gun capable of doing so, this thing is a bit of a monster, just like the country it hails from. The Webley is in contention with the 1911 for the most used sidearm in the game, and if you haven't caught on by now, I am something of a hipster myself. It is for this reason that despite being perhaps the best practical pick of all the guns listed in this video, I must knock off 1 point. Webley Mark 6 gets a 9 out of 10. Liberator. The Liberator. This thing is quite seriously ass. Its stats would be pretty good if it weren't for the fact that it gets to fire 1 shot every leap year. The only thing I was able to make use of it for was shooting down flares, so enjoy these clips where it stays in my pocket most of the time. Where it fucking belongs. For all the criteria listed on which to judge a sidearm, this thing is an absolute failure in all of them. Unusable in gameplay, unreasonably ugly, has considerable jank owing to the following: appears to eject a casing in aimed fire, very subdued recoil in aimed fire, very extreme recoil in hip fire, this bewildering, lingering pause after you fire your last shot, and this weird audio glitch. Also, you start out with 5 cartridges by default, but can hold up to 51, all of which are taken from the grip compartment when reloading, so the grip of the Liberator being a pocket dimension is funny, I guess. And oh yeah, I personally hate this cheap, funny little stamp steel pea shooter. Liberator might have had the capacity to be a meme in theory, but you really can't even meme with it. I mean, the Calibri from Battlefield 1 was the equivalent of flicking fish tank pebbles at your enemy, and it still had more value. The simple rule is, in order to meme, you need to be killing, and if you're not killing, then you're just losing. 1 out of 10. Type 94. This gun is fuck ugly, it just is. The Type 94 stats are copied from the Repetierpistole, which aren't very good, especially in a gun with only a 6+1 weighted 6-round magazine! If you miss more than 2 shots while you're serving up microdoses of death at Mach speed, your target won't die and it's straight to the reload zone for you. Speaking of reloads, this gun's most redeeming quality is its reload animations. Its empty reload, while confusing, is satisfying, and the partial reload is just a snappier version of the Luger's. Actually, a reload speed like that just might make up for the dismal capacity, if you time your reloads well. 4 out of 10. But you know, if you only have 6 bullets, you're better off shooting them from a gun where they're more than enough to kill anything that moves. Easily the hottest piece in the pocket arsenal, the Model 27 revolver is the big iron, and you are a goddamn Arizona Ranger. It doesn't matter that this 6-shooter was made 3.5 decades after the death of the Wild West. Normies don't know or care. So go out there and become the 1940s cowboy you were always meant to be. Even your player character becomes slightly more of a badass when you equip the Model 27, giving it a little spin every time you draw it from its plus-sized holster. While slow firing, it has the highest damage of all sidearms, with a longer lethal range and faster projectile. Getting kills with a big dong double action tastes like victory, and each shot sounds like what I imagine feels like to get hit by a Tesla Cybertruck. You could try to be a little nicer on that hinge though. Every reload has a small amount of gun abuse included. This is my favorite sidearm in the game, and my only gripe with it is at point blank range, where most sidearm usage will be occurring, the Mark 6 can kill in the same amount of shots, just faster. 9 out of 10. PPK. Finally, an acceptable pocket pistol. The PPK has less ammo per magazine than the Ruby, but with more control. The stat screen only shows a small statistical difference, but in practice it goes a long way, or at least it feels like it. Using the PPK is pleasant, because you can fire fast and stay on target. The design is modern looking and its size is kind of cute. Unfortunately, the PPK's aesthetics are held back by a rush on the finishing touches. The animation of operating the safety when you draw the PPK is silent, which, while strange, is forgivable. But the very noticeable use of the force is not so much. Whenever you sprint while performing a partial reload, the animation of putting a new magazine in the gun is overridden by the sprinting animation. But the gun just keeps doing its thing, magicking the magazine into place. This is unfortunate, as the reload animation is normally pretty clean. 5 out of 10. PPK Suppressed. You're a regular James Bond out there with this thing. Just like the M1911, its stats are the same as its loud volume counterpart, save for the straight upgrade of sneaky shooting. Sneeze at your enemies 4 times in a row in rapid succession and they'll be on their deathbed before they even know it hit them. The Centers for Disease Control has seized this broadcast for spreading harmful discourse which can be a danger to human life. This act of domestic terrorism will not go unpunished. Action is already being taking my words out of context, don't you think? Anyway, to close this one out, I pose a question. Doesn't it seem like the PPK Suppressed has less recoil, or is it just me? 7 out of 10. Welrod. Those who are not aware of what exactly a Welrod is must be made aware of 3 crucial things. Sensibly, I'll start by telling you the second and third most important crucial things. The Welrod has the same damage, accuracy, and control as the Mark VI Revolver, and it is also a suppressed weapon. Wow, what a goated combination! What could possibly be the trade-off for this power? Number 1 thing to know, this is a bolt-action pistol. No, not that one. That old fireball maker is actually fun to use. The only thing that takes longer to shoot its shots than the Welrod is me in high school. I do give the Welrod points for being a cool concept and a funny design, and it's actually viable in the right hands, still able to kill in a single headshot. However, most would not trade double action operation for some sneaky shooting. Lots of respect to players who make the most out of this thing. This pipe with a trigger attached does have one visual unpleasantry, and that would be its crouch sprint animations. Every other pistol in the game has the user gripping it with both hands in the first person while crouched, and when sprinting while crouched, they pitch the gun's barrel to the side as they run. This looks pretty natural, but for whatever reason, the Welrod is only ever gripped with a single hand, perhaps because the other hand is exclusively used for the animation of operating the bolt. This would be fine if the player character just held the gun like a normal person while sprinting. Just hold it up, like this, like I know you can do. None of this weird wrist twist nonsense. Even the Liberator, for some reason, is held with 2 hands while crouched. Like it'll do you any good, pal. And that's the saddest part of this whole ordeal. That despite how much I want to forget that it even exists, the Liberator is better at something. 4 out of 10. Well, what a sad note on which to end this video. I hope you enjoyed it though. I certainly did. Let me know what you think about my assessment. Leave a comment with your objectively superior opinions, and maybe even your home address if you wish to engage in fisticuffs over our intellectual differences. I wish to clarify legally and officially that the latter of those 2 suggestions was a jest. If this video gets any attention, I'll continue the series. Hell, I'll probably continue it even if it doesn't. Next one's going to be all about the assault class's weapons, so subscribe if you don't want to miss it. Till I see you next time, Professor Mem signing off.